Let's talk about faith today. I've been thinking about a couple of stories recently. Jen and I were having a conversation this morning about faith, and she brought up this first story. It's the story of Joshua and Caleb and this conversation they have before Caleb goes in and takes his portion of the land for his tribe. And this is what Caleb says to Joshua. He says, "Now then, just as the Lord has promised, he has kept me alive for 45 years since the time he said to Moses, while Israel moved about in the wilderness. So here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong as the day Moses sent me out. I'm just as vigorous to go out into battle now as I was then." I love this. It's completely not true, but it's a great perspective. Come on, he's 85 years old. He's not as virulent as he was 45 years earlier at age 40. I mean, can't you picture his troops in back of him going, "Oh my gosh, Gramps, get a clue, get a grip." I think they're picturing the battle scenes, right? Here he is coming into battle with his cane and somebody's running past him and they're like, "Hit him with your cane, Gramps." Trip that one he's running past. Listen, he's not as strong as he was. This isn't the perspective of reality. This is the perspective of faith. This isn't the perspective of his circumstances. This is the perspective of the promises of God. You see, Joshua and Caleb believed God at the first round, and Caleb and Joshua still believe God now. Even though the first generation didn't make it to the promised land, they believe God for the promises God has made. This is faith. I was thinking about John this morning, the apostle. I was reading in John chapter 20, and this is when Mary Magdalene and several of the women come to the tomb and they find the stone is rolled away, the tomb is empty, and they run to get the apostles. They think to themselves, someone has stolen the body. Peter and John come running to the tomb, and I love John's perspective. He outran Peter, he has to add that piece. He gets there first, he looks in, but he doesn't go in, a little spooked by what's there probably. But Peter goes right in. And when Peter goes in, John follows. And it's interesting to hear all the perspectives. The women think someone has stolen the body. Peter wonders what has happened. In one of the other gospel endings, you see that. But John sizes up the situation. He sees the grave clothes are there, and he makes a conclusion. He sees and believes, the text says. I suspect what ran through his mind was something like this. He thought no one would steal the body and take the grave clothes off and leave them behind. Why would anyone do that? If they were really going to steal the body, they would just take it and run. So when he sees this illogical thing that's there, I think it flashes him back to the moment where Jesus said, "I will be crucified, and in 3 days I will rise again." And he believes. See, both Caleb and John are early adopters to faith. They believe what no one else believes. They see what God is doing before anyone else sees. They trust God to deliver before anyone else trusts. I think we're in an opportunity to be early adopters to faith in a new movement that could come out of our current crisis. We can act on fear. We can let our fears dictate us. Or we can believe like John, like Caleb. We can see the story that God is writing before anyone else sees. And we can be part of what God is doing in our generation.